Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord, and once again on for his weekly appearance, which you guys seem to love. I don't know why, but it's Mark Zinno. Thank you so much for joining us again.
These people must be glutton for punishment or stupid, one or the other.
So we got some news. We got another coaching search, which has genuinely become an annual occurrence for this franchise. We've had 3 or 4 defensive coordinators in the last 5 years. We've had multiple head coaches. We've had different GMs. So it's an annual occurrence. This time it's Jimmy Lake, Raheem Morris, his old friend, which was a questionable hire. We've got some names. Who do you like for this job? Not who do you think? Who do you like? Who would be your ideal candidate? And then we'll get into what you think.
Yeah, I mean, look, the biggest prerequisite I have for whoever they hire, and I tweeted this out earlier in the week when someone asked me about Wink Martindale. I simply said, look, he doesn't have any known connections to the Falcons, and that's important. The Falcons, because of their ownership and their leadership at the top, are a highly myopic and insular group, and groupthink overruns everything that they do. And it is clearly apparent in the way that they operate. But Wink Martindale had no connection. It's time for them to branch out and look for something different, right? Like it's time for them to branch out and look for a coordinator who doesn't do things the way the Falcons normally do things. That he has to be a fit for the personnel and whatever scheme he wants to run. I think that's part of it. But I don't want them to have any connections to Raheem Morris, to the Falcons previously, or anybody who's ever been an inside Flowery Branch, because they just need some new life and some new thought processes in the building. Like, I don't think Robert Saleh would take this job, but I'd interview his ass for the defense coordinator job 100%. I don't think he would take it. But
I don't think you're getting an interview, let alone consideration.
Well, he is on the way to probably getting another head coaching job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, even past the possibility of getting a head coaching job, there will be teams who will fire their current defensive coordinator for Robert Saleh. I mean, I saw Falcons fans, which, bless their hearts, little slow, actually thought that we were in the running for Robert Saleh. I almost laughed myself till I peed my pants thinking like, are you guys this dense? This is crazy. I mean, this is the best defensive coordinator in football right now. Now we're interviewing his defensive coordinator who wasn't even his defense. I mean, let's be real. Jeff Ulbrich, though oversaw that defense, it was Robert Saleh's defense. And even more than that, that Jets defense has, at least last year in their last full season, talent that we have never seen in Atlanta.
Why would Jeff Ulbrich come back here? Like,
why? Because it's comfortable.
It's a job. Yes.
He can have a hug after every loss.
I get it. But
there's no pressure. You're collaboration.
You're literally going backward.
You're acting as if this organization has 2 brain cells.
Well, they do. I don't know that they work in concert with one another. I think one works one way and the other one works the other, but that's a whole different conversation. I just think Ulbrich is primed for a position where, he's coordinated some of the best defenses in the league over the past couple of years. Like, why would you go back to rebuilding a defense that was bad? Like, unless he's getting overwhelming money.
I mean, he doesn't have many options.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you're right. That's fair.
And I think, he's suffering from the same thing that Nathaniel Hackett did, where it was like, that was Matt LaFleur's offense. That was Robert Saleh's defense.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think. And I do agree with you. I said this, I think maybe before we interviewed anybody, that if you're not in the inner circle, the circle of trust of Flowery Branch, you probably weren't going to get this job. So when we saw Lou and Wink get the interviews, I was shocked. Happily, I was like, wow, they are actually going outside of, and then they interview Steve Wilkes, and then they interview Ulbrich, and I said, there you go, there we are, right to the foundation where we're right to the circle of trust.
I mean, again, Lou Anarumo does not impress me. He's a good coordinator with good talent. Falcons don't have a ton of that, so that's the problem. As soon as Kansas City's talent went in the crapper on defense, Lou Anarumo wasn't that good. Like, the defense was never that good, so. I'd be more apt to lean on Wink Martindale. His experiment with the Giants failed because of personality, not because of talent or scheme. Him and Brian Daboll just didn't get along, and that was the end of it. They could never get along. They had two different completely philosophies, and that was that. But as I said, anybody who's had success with the Ravens typically has success a lot of other places. And maybe why not just try that? Why not try to go poach the linebackers coach from Kansas City? Why not go try to poach somebody like from one of the top defenses in the league as a linebacker coach and interview those guys, right? Because again, so much of this stuff, when you are a NFL owner, is about creating the headline and the juice for the move as much as it is about the move, right? And Dallas obviously is the epitome of that sort of philosophy. But, if you're only looking at linebackers coaches across the board, and guys you're looking to promote or looking for within, nobody gets excited. In fact, people get angry. But if I bring in these big names and all these names and some familiar names that people know and that have ties to success elsewhere, all of a sudden there's a buzz about this whole thing. When in reality, the search should start to be looking for a young coach who wants a promotion as much as it is an old coach who's looking for a retread job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there should be a good balance there, and I just don't see it.
Yeah, you don't really see that a lot with defensive coordinators like you see it at the offensive coordinator position. Like, I mean, who is it? The 28-year-old guy that's Kevin O'Connell's like right-hand man now. They're already starting to talk about him as like a head coach.
The Viking,
the next
Falcons 2026 head coach.
Yeah,
like
they're already talking about him in the next OC and the next Kyle Shanahan and all this stuff. And it's like you see that with offensive coordinators where you never see like the 28-year-old linebackers coach who's just blown everybody out of the water.
Well,
like he is just unbelievable. Like it's a lot more low key, and it's probably just because of the way that the league is turned and is so offensive heavy, and you want the next Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. But you never really hear that, which is interesting that you bring up. In terms of the guys that they have brought in, I agree with you. Wink Martindale is at least the most different from anything we've had. It's going to be an entirely different scheme. At least that'll be a breath of fresh air. I think it's going to be hard for anyone to come in and have a lot of immediate success because the talent is not where it needs to be. But I agree. I can't say the word on here, but bring in some real jerks into the building, shake some things up, like make you feel uncomfortable. I do think that's what the Falcons should be trying to do.
Go get Rex Ryan and get up and go bring.
I would. Oh my God, I'd explode. I would love that so much if Rex Ryan came to Atlanta. He wouldn't take this job, though. I don't think he's getting off the desk unless he's coming for a head coaching job.
Yeah, I mean, look, and he's opining for the Jets job again. If they hire him,
what a pathetic excuse of an interview.
Well, I mean, listen, it's the Jets. Like, if the Jets went out there and hired Rex Ryan, would anybody really be surprised?
At the end, I wouldn't. At the end of the day, the defensive coordinator who takes this job, has to figure out a way to live with the talent that you have and make it better. And oh, by the way, when you're drafting at 16, what are we drafting at? 17, something in that range? 18? Is that what it is? 15. When you're drafting at 15, what are you going to get? Now, again, me, if I'm the Falcons, and this is, I've heard people already say trade back. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What kind of soft Charmin, shriveled up, wuss are you? Dude, this is not the off season to stop pushing your chips in and go, oh, let's just get some more picks for the future. Dude, no. Like, okay.
Well, I agree with you, but for a different reason. I agree with you.
They can unload Cousins with a post-June 1st designation, and they get his cap number down to $12 million in a trade, right? Like, that's the number one thing. If they can do that and they free up cap space, then I could argue trading back would make more sense, right? Because the picks for the next 2 years may be things that will set you up for the long haul because you have the better part of Penix's deal at a manageable number. But if you can't unload Kirk, you have to continue to go all in. You can't try to rebuild for the future. Like, it's a bad philosophy. You went all in last year. You know what you don't do now that you've actually, split the pot and got money back? You don't stop going all in. Like, it makes no sense. And again, organizationally, this is what bothers me about the Falcons because of stuff like this. Nothing ever lines up. The organizational philosophy has no path. Do you ever see that that meme on the thing where the Asian guy is like men with a dot and sorry, and he draws a straight line, and then it's women, and it's like, And then it's like F-U-C-K, right? Like, it's like, like that's how the Falcons organizationally operate. Like, it's like, it just makes no sense. You went all in last year. Guess what? We're pressing our luck again, and we're going right back all in. Trade up as high as you can. Go get a pass rusher. Go get somebody who changes the defense immediately and go back into the center of the table again.
Two things. I'll say this about the draft pick. I agree with you. We should not be treading back, but for the wrong, you're talking about it for the wrong reasons. And it's the obvious reason is, are we really going to trust Terry Fontenot to make the right choice later in the first round? Like, he's 2 of 3 in the top 10 right now. Like, you don't press your luck that you think he's going to. And what has he done on day 2 to make you think, oh, these are going to be the day 2 picks that hit? Back to the defensive coordinator cycle that we're supposed to be talking about here. I have one question for you. What the hell are we doing interviewing a guy who is a first-time play caller at the NFL level again, if he got hired? Derek Ansley got interviewed last night. The guy has never called the defense at the NFL level. He was with the Chargers. He was the Chargers defensive coordinator, but Brandon Staley was calling those defenses. Did we not learn our lesson? Like, what are we just pity interviewing him, or what are we doing? Like, or perhaps Raheem Morris is going to take over play calling duties. I don't know. Okay. What the hell are we doing interviewing a guy that we just fired? It's the same guy.
Like, okay, you just said it. Let me ask you a question. Okay. And this is what I don't understand. Sometimes, again, and this goes back to this collaboration BS that the Falcons spew organizationally, which is nauseating. You know, that Rams team that won the Super Bowl, who called the defensive plays? What was his name?
It
was Raheem Morris, right? He called the defensive plays. Am I clear on that? Are we all on the same page?
Yep.
Call your own damn defensive plays.
Yep.
You're the head freaking coach. Stop passing the buck. Like, my God, if you're going to suck at game management, okay, at least
it's like, what is he doing?
At least be calling plays in the process.
I mean, I don't know what you think calling plays is going to do for his game management. Like, everything else is going to suffer.
But you know what?
Well, delegate game management. Delegate game management.
We do. We have a game management coach.
No, what we have is a process to call a timeout, which is a load of BS. But that's neither here nor there. The point is like, why is Raheem just not going, I got this?
I agree.
I'm the captain of the damn ship. I'm steering it. I'm the rudder. This is where we're going. Get me a defensive coordinator here to supplement me and help me out. And then that guy doesn't matter as much because my head coach is now calling defensive plays. What's the issue?
I agree. And if I'm Raheem Morris, I mean, you got to have some semblance of self-awareness that if you miss the playoffs in 2025, you're probably gone. Like, don't you want your fate in your own hands? I do. I don't want my fate in anyone else's hands.
Especially not a guy that hasn't called
ever.
plays.
Why are we even entertaining Derek Ansley? And no disrespect to that guy at all. I'm just saying, like, Raheem Morris, flashers, blinkers, you just did that. Or maybe, again, maybe you hire somebody like that so that you can call plays because Wink Martindale isn't taking this job unless he's calling the plays.
Right.
Honoramo's probably not doing it either. Maybe Steve Wilkes would. I doubt it, though. I mean, none of the guys that, marquee defensive coordinators are going to come to Atlanta unless they're calling plays.
I agree. I mean, again,
I can believe it. Let's go to break. We'll continue this coming up after the break.